Going live, and we are live on YouTube and D Live. So I still haven't figured out the whole multi-stream thing yet. I have two computers set up, two microphones, and two cameras. So we're talking to D Live and YouTube today. It might get a little weird in the chat because you guys can't really see what each other are saying. YouTubers, if you're interested, go check me out on D Live/Bull Strength. If you're interested in keeping up with the chat tends to be a lot more engaging over there than on YouTube. So what's up, Watermelon? Good to see you again. So the theme of today's topic, we're going to be talking about the relationship between strength training and depression. Specifically how studies have been showing that strength training pretty much nullifies the effects of depression. So there's a new article from The Hour that featured several studies that show how strength training can improve your mood and even eliminate depression over time. So basically, we had somebody that went over. What I should say is there was a few different meta-analysis studies done showing the relationship between strength training and depression. There's been a lot of studies done sort of correlating fitness with depression, but this is more strength training specific. It appears to have more depression nullifying effects than just general fitness and just doing cardio or something like that. So first of all, I just want to say, I used to deal with depression a lot when I was younger, when I was in high school. And then a little bit after I had left the Army, it's something that has popped up and gone away here and there throughout life. So it's definitely something I can relate to. I know that feeling of feeling hopeless and kind of having that sort of, it's like a black hole in your chest is how I describe it, like a tightness. It almost feels like if you're addicted to something, like withdrawal symptoms, except when you're withdrawing from cigarettes, you smoke a cigarette and the symptoms go away. With depression, there's really not much that you can do about the symptoms. You just kind of live with them. So, yeah, like I said, yeah, I have experience with it off and on, and I can attest to these study results that we're about to go through. That strength training really does nullify the symptoms of depression. So, according to the author of this meta-analysis. All right, I got to turn the volume down here. Thank you, Sunbear, for the lemon on D Live. Anyway, so according to the author, so this is Lauren Opler, he personally struggled with depression since childhood and dealt with the lingering effects as an adult, right? Very similar to what I just said that I've gone through too. And for 30 years, he's been off and on antidepressant medication and has tried all different types of methods to alleviate his symptoms, but only one of these methods seemed to work consistently, okay? This is a direct quote from the author. The positive shift in my mood, my confidence, and my self-image was so pronounced that I switched careers. I left my work in social service to become a personal trainer. Very similar experience on my end too. I was working sort of a desk job. That's why I describe my job as a test pilot. It was mostly sitting behind a desk. I got into strength training while I was doing that job, and I just became so passionate about it that I decided to make a career out of it. So, yeah, very similar story here. So, and he's pretty much saying that the positive shift was so severe that his confidence and self-image was permanently changed, and pretty much the old symptoms of depression really never came back. All right, so just checking the chats real quick. I've got a lot of stuff going on here because I do have, like I said, the two cameras, two mics, two of everything. So, yeah. So let's get into the meta-analysis now. So meta-analysis was done on 33 different studies linking depression and resistance training. Correlating depression and resistance training. And this was done by Brett Gordon, who is a sports scientist from the University of Pennsylvania. And he found that every clinical trial done on resistance training had resulted in significantly reduced depressive symptoms. Furthermore, one notable finding concluded that the improved mood from resistance training happened whether they physically grew or not. And Dr. Meyer believes that the mood boost is more tied to having a sense of accomplishment, right? This is something I harp on a lot on this channel, or on these channels. But, you know, I talk a lot about chasing goals, setting goals for yourself, tricking your mind is something I say very often. What's up, Watermelon? I don't know your actual name, so I'm just going to call you that. Sorry. So Dr. Meyer, yeah, he believes that it's tied to a sense of accomplishment, which is what I'm always harping on in terms of, you know, getting started with strength training, because getting started is the most difficult part. You know, everybody knows how hard it is to get into fitness if you're already out of shape, right? I compare it to like reading a book. It's very difficult to get into reading if you haven't been reading for a long time. So thank you, Benjamin, for the donation on DLive. Yeah, so this is what I'm always talking about with the setting of goals. If you give yourself something to go after and you accomplish it, every single time you accomplish something, you're going to get a sort of a dopamine effect from it. You're going to get some positive vibes off of it. And according to this study, like that's always what I've said. Now, this guy is saying that sort of mental state that you enter when you become obsessed with chasing goals and accomplishing goals, literally boosts your mood to the sense, or I mean, to a level that you no longer have any more depressive symptoms, which is absolutely profound. And yeah, the guy originally, the Lauren Opler, the writer of this article, he was saying that, you know, he was taking medication for years, and he went between like Zoloft and Prozac and like all of these different medications. And the one thing that completely nullified the symptoms was strength training. Strength training, you know, it permanently changes how you see yourself, right? Changes your self-image. You gain a lot more self-confidence, and you just become a different person. And you will notice, like, the world around you will react to that too. Are you seeing a lag right now on DLive? My name is Christian, but you can call me Watermelon. And yeah, strength training is definitely something that has helped me with my depression, right? So we got somebody here in the YouTube chat that is confirming exactly what we're talking about. Is it not as good on YouTube, the audio? Thanks for checking there, Benjamin. I'll move the mic a little bit closer, but the reason for that is because like I said, I have two different setups here, and the YouTube setup is using my old microphone. So if you want better audio quality and you're on YouTube, head on over to DLive/BullStrength. But yeah, so tricking your mind, chasing goals, and staying constantly engaged is the key. That's always what I've said is the key to staying in shape, to getting in shape and staying in shape. Basically building your motivation and turning it into discipline. This is a key step here. But, you know, according to all of these studies, we got 33 different studies here that point to that sort of mindset of chasing goals and accomplishing goals, destroying depression. Speed Boop. What's up, Benjamin? Oh, he is now on two different streaming platforms at once. All right, Watermelon, I'll try to remember your name is Christian. How do you do that? Still a confusion. How am I doing both streams at the same time? Like I said, there's webcam here. This is DLive. This is YouTube. And then I have two microphones here. So I'm not using Restream or Streamlabs or anything like that. Like, this is as primitive of a multi-stream setup as you can possibly get. So, but yeah, I will have Streamlabs set up here. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. All right. Anyway, so this Dr. Meyer also conducted a separate meta-analysis of 16 studies in 2017, showing that resistance training had also significantly impacted anxiety symptoms among those with mental illnesses. So, according to this, massive group of studies here, we've got 49 studies that are basically showing lower levels of depression and lower levels of anxiety. So, yeah, this is a big reason, why I push this with family members, with friends, with people that I care about in general, because it is life-changing to start taking your health seriously, to start chasing goals and setting goals. The world around you changes, and it's very important. This was something that I found really interesting, and I did not know this prior to actually doing the research for this video. But so resistance training induces the release of BDNF, which is the brain-derived neurotropic factor. It's a type of protein. So this protein is released in the hippocampus region of the brain and is responsible for mood regulation, okay? So, resistance training causes release of this protein that is going to give you a positive mood because it's releasing it into the hippocampus. Now, people with long-term depression typically see a 25% reduction in the size of the hippocampus. Their brain literally shrinks, at least part of their brain literally shrinks from the depression. And this is why it's so hard to get out of. Once you enter this negative feedback loop and you really bury yourself in it over the long term, you're literally reducing the size of your brain, right? Now, it's not all hopeless, right? It's not all hopeless because the releasing of the BDNF proteins when you do resistance training grows new brain cells in the hippocampus. And if you get into resistance training long enough, it will completely rebuild the hippocampus, right? It will build it back to its original state. I mean, to me, it's so cool. It's just mind-blowing that, I didn't know that depression actually shrunk parts of your brain, let alone the fact that resistance training, can be used to grow certain neurons back. So this is all really cool. And like I said, this is an article from The Hour, if you guys are interested. And it's by Lauren Oppler. So this was a big sort of article putting together all of these meta-analyses, correlating depression from and strength training. But yeah, really profound. I mean, you lose part of your brain when you get depression, but you can grow it back through resistance training. Really, really cool stuff. And yeah, like I said, I've dealt with it, in high school. I had pretty bad depression. My family basically moved down to Florida while I was in the middle of high school. And I know that, my dad was doing it for his career and stuff. We could make more money and live in a better house. But, I ended up losing all my friends and having to start over in 10th grade. So I was depressed, deeply depressed for a couple of years. Basically went away once I joined the military and, they kicked my ass and got me in shape. And I guess what they did is, repaired the part of my brain that was damaged from being depressed for so long. So, yay. Of course, depression is sort of a thing that's reoccurring. And I believe that there's different types of depression too, right? So, and this is me just kind of speaking off the cuff. So, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right. But I feel like there's some people that feel depression and it's about the current state that they're in. At least from my personal experience, I always felt most depressed when it just felt like I wasn't accomplishing anything. I felt worthless. I felt kind of nihilistic. What's even the point? And, you get through that negative feedback loop to a point where it becomes cemented in you. It becomes part of your personality. But, if it's something that snowballs like that, you can dig your way out. On the flip side, I do believe that there are some people that are wired for depressive thinking. and there's really nothing that they can do. Like, they can do strength training, they can like mitigate some of the symptoms, but I think that you know, their brain is just the connections and stuff, it's just different, and they're always going to be predisposed predisposed, there's that word, for depression. So yeah, so there's different varying degrees of it, and I guess you could say that I've kind of dealt with more of the temporary circumstantial form of depression, and not really the sort of chemical wiring that like keeps you depressed your entire life, because some of those people do exist. And you know, the strength training, like I said, you can like nullify some of those symptoms, but I don't know that you would ever really get back to sort of a normal, like a homeostasis sort of state with your brain. But I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a neurosurgeon, so I'm just kind of speaking from a personal training perspective, and of course, from a perspective of somebody who's had depression before. I could totally relate to that black hole in your chest, you know, that feeling of emptiness, the tight chest, the sort of grieving that you can't control. Believe me, if you're feeling that, I'm very empathetic. I've been there, and you know, I hope that you follow me on social media, and you know, hopefully we can talk and, you know, get you out of that state, you know, give you the tools that you need to get into strength training or whatever. You know, you gotta do whatever you can to get out of that state of mind. I know it sucks and it seems hopeless. That's part of like how your brain gets rewired is, you know, once you've been in that negative feedback for so long, you feel hopeless all the time. So trust me, I know, like the people that say, oh, you know, yeah, and I'm not saying like just get in the gym and just start training, like don't be a loser. I'm not saying that at all, because I know exactly how hard it is, especially when you have depression, to get motivated enough to go in the gym and, you know, start working on something more positive. But, you know, it is something that you got to force yourself to do. And, you know, like I said, according to these studies and according to what I've been saying for years now, it's all about setting goals and chasing goals, right? You don't want to go in the gym and think, you know, oh, I want this specific body. You know, if you're female, I want to look like Emma Watson, or if you're a guy, like I want to look like, you know, not Thor, because nobody's going to look like him. Not the Marvel Thor. I mean, half Thor, but Jason Momoa. You know what I mean? You can't go in the gym having some sort of an overarching goal like that without a bunch of like bits and pieces. You have to break it down. Okay, I want to look this way, right? So how am I gonna get here, right? What's the training gonna look like? What's the dieting gonna look like? You know, what goals do I want to accomplish, right? I want a 315 bench press. I want a 500-pound deadlift. You know, you got to find these arbitrary numbers, and it may sound kind of, you know, like you're trying to be macho or something like that, but because you're like chasing numbers, and you might get proud that you got a 500 or 400-pound deadlift or whatever. It doesn't matter what other people think, though. Fuck them. This is about your mental health. So, you know, you should be proud about the things that you accomplish in the gym. I'm not saying that you should be a full-blown CrossFitter and tell everybody in the world every single time you do a WOD. But anyway, so continuing on, Dr. Sawyer, who lives with depression and uses weight training to manage his symptoms, says that lifting weights is as effective at managing my symptoms as medication, with zero side effects. Okay, this is a doctor. This is a guy who has performed all these meta-analysis and really knows what he's talking about, right? He's very deeply entrenched in this field, and he swears that lifting weights will nullify symptoms, the negative symptoms of depression, without medication, with zero side effects, right? So, and, you know, don't just take it from him. You know, like I said, I have personal experience with it too, and I've seen the exact same results, right? Hey, what's up? M. Pulameka over on D Live. How's it going? Welcome to the stream, and thank you for the follow. But yeah, so Yeah, it's just as effective as medication. And I can tell you this from experience too, because, you know, my doctor put me on, I forget which one it was. I think it was Zoloft, may have been Zoloft, but I took it for a week. He basically told me, you know, you got to microdose it and ramp your way up into being able to take a full dose. And what I found once I actually started dosing it, you know, the way the doctors wanted me to, is not only did it make my depression worse, but there were negative side effects that, like, I don't even really care to get into, like the most disturbing thoughts that you can imagine, and it's out of my control. Like, it made the situation 20 times worse when I started taking Zoloft. Now, I'm not your psychiatrist, I'm not your doctor, so I'm not telling you to go against the advice of your doctor, but I am telling you that it's probably a good idea to explore, you know, other alternatives, physical, you know, and, you know, diet type alternatives before you go for this sort of mind altering medication, because I had a very bad reaction to Zoloft. I mean, extremely bad. I mean, I went from depressed to like really, really angry, and it was uncontrollable. And I was still depressed, was the worst part. And yeah, for whatever reason, Zoloft just filled me with rage that was uncontrollable on top of the depression. So it didn't work for me, but strength training did work for me. So, you know, everything these doctors here are saying. So we got Jacob Meyer, Dr. Sawyer, and Lauren Oppler, who wrote the article. You know, I'm on their side of the fence here. I really believe that there is something to strength training. And you know, the science is undeniable, right? Your brain does shrink when you have depression for a really long time. You lose part of your hippocampus. Those brain cells do die off. But when you get into strength training, specifically, we're not talking about running or you know, biking. Those are great too, and those can alleviate depression symptoms as well. However, it's specifically the aspect of chasing and accomplishing very specific goals on a regular basis, right? If you're doing strength training correctly, you're pretty much accomplishing something every time you're in the gym, right? And this is what I talk about in a lot of my YouTube videos, is like tricking your brain. This is what I'm talking about. You're tricking your brain by setting a variety of goals and going after a bunch of different things at once, right? So that way, every time you go in the gym, you are accomplishing something. You are triggering a dopamine, you know, mood improving sort of a thing. And, you know, like Dr. Sawyer here says, there's no side effects. Unlike all these medications, you know, even like when I first got prescribed it, my doctor at the VA told me, like, you know, you have to get addicted to this. For one, like, you have to ramp up your dosage, get addicted to it, and then ramp off of it, and like deal with the side effects, right? And like I said, Zoloft was terrible. It was absolutely horrible. It made my symptoms a million times worse. And it just made my life shitty in general. So, you know, before you go to the psychiatrist, before you go talking to your primary care doctor, you know, I would explore strength training for depression first, okay? And like I said, I know it's really hard to get into. I know if you're just coming off the couch, like somebody like me who's already in shape telling you, you know, all you got to do is get in the gym. Like, I know exactly what's going through your head right now. Like, it's not that easy, you know, F off, whatever. I know it's not that easy. But it's just something you got to, you know, it's like reading a book. Like, if you haven't been reading for a long time, you got to take it one page at a time or one chapter at a time. You break it down piece by piece, right? That's the way you do it with strength training too. You don't go in the gym saying, I want to be in shape. I want to be in good shape. You go in the gym saying, you know, I do want to be in shape, but, you know, you have to have a way to get there, right? Exercise science is a science, and it should be respected as a science, right? If you just go jumping into it casually, you will get overwhelmed if you have an unscientific approach, right? And that's typically what makes people sputter out, right? You go to the gym and you might be consistent for an entire week or 2 weeks, but there's nothing that's keeping you engaged. It gets boring. It becomes a chore, and you start thinking, well, this is something I have to do, and you just kind of force yourself to do it, as opposed to something that I want to do. I'm looking forward to deadlift day. I'm looking forward to my bench press, whatever the case is. Trick your brain, make yourself like strength training, and that will result, like that specific aspect of strength training is what results in the reduced depression symptoms, right? So yeah, 0 side effects. Let's check out the chats here. YouTube's chilling, DLive is popping. Pretty typical. That's why I stream more on DLive nowadays. Yeah, thank you for the follow, Revenge Aaron. I wish I knew your language. Oh, you're Turkish. Well, I hope you understand me at least. If I don't know, you want to run that through Google Translate and let me know what Revenge Aaron just said in Turkish?
I think it said my pleasure.
Oh.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Appreciate the follow. Thank you very much. All right, so yeah, so how about instead of going straight for the medication and putting what is essentially a Band-Aid on the problem, you take matters in your own hands and you go for the root of the problem, right? You strike at the root. You don't put a Band-Aid on it by taking a medication, although that is effective for some people. And like I said, there's some people that probably do need antidepressants, and there is no other way for them to sort of claw themselves out of that situation. But, anytime a family member comes to me with any sort of like ailment, or a friend, I always point them in the direction of trying to explore alternatives before, you go and see that psychiatrist, or, you get on birth control, right? Or something like that to sort of fix your mental state. Try to sort of repair it naturally first. And if you can't do it, then you go for the professional. But if you haven't tried anything yet, it's just my personal opinion that it's not a good idea to go straight to a doctor or a psychiatrist. Tell them, I have this problem and I feel like I need this medication that you're also coincidentally advertising all over the walls in here. Prozac, Zoloft, Ambien, like all these different, like, what do you think the doctor is going to want to do? He's going to be like, hell yeah, you need antidepressants. Let me put my name on that, right? So a lot of it is financially motivated. So be wary of that. And that, that applies to, birth control too. A couple of my, I'll say family members have come to me asking, what they can do for their sort of, female side effects. And, I recommend, regulating your hormones through, proper diet, getting your vitamin D3, exercising, doing things like that first. And if you feel like after doing all of that, that your mood still hasn't improved, then, go to the doctor, go get your antidepressant or birth control, progesterone, AKA steroids. If you word it that way too, it's like, okay, go to your doctor and go take steroids because you're depressed. Like, they'll be like, wait a minute, steroid? Yeah, progesterone is a sex hormone. It's a steroid. But anyway, so yeah. These studies here point to what I've been saying on my channel a lot in terms of, what it takes to keep yourself engaged with strength training. It's really all about chasing goals. And we have 49, like I said, we have 49 studies here, a meta-analysis of 49 different studies where every single one of them resulted in significantly reduced depressive symptoms, right? With no negative side effects, right? So if you are feeling depressed, at least consider strength training, right? And something that, I hit a dark point right before I got back into the current shape that you're seeing right now. I went through a pretty shitty divorce, and, it left me pretty depressed, right? And, there was a specific day, and I still remember this day where I put my foot down and I said, you know what? I'm tired of feeling this way. I'm I'm tired of not being motivated. I'm tired of being, turned off by going to work and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to write down everything that's good in life and that I want to accomplish. And I think that that's really what it starts with. You write down all of your goals, right? And one of those goals is most likely going to be, get in the gym, get in shape, right? Now you need to take that goal and break that down into a bunch of little pieces, right? You got to build yourself a little roadmap. And if you need a personal trainer or some sort of professional guidance, feel free to do that. I would recommend doing that before seeing a psychiatrist first. That's just me. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical professional. So, take what I say with a grain of salt, but, I'm just going off my experience. By the way, we've got some sort of tropical storm going on outside that kind of popped up out of nowhere. These just Florida things, but so we might hear some crackling thunder. You never know. I might lose power and I might disappear. So just letting you know, we got a storm raging outside. Did you translate the?
It's something like my pleasure.
My pleasure in Turkish.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Cool. Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the follow over on DLive. Like I said, if you want to follow me over there, I do live stream more on DLive nowadays. Eventually, the YouTube streams are kind of going to shift all the way to sort of DLive, probably some other platforms. YouTube, I'm just going to reserve for the uploads that I was consistently doing, and sort of drift away from live streaming on YouTube. So yeah, definitely follow me on DLive if that is something that interests you. So I hope this live stream was useful. I hope that somebody took something out of this. If I can just help one person with depression realize that it's not hopeless, it's not the end of the world. I know it feels like it, and I know you might tell yourself that on a regular basis, but I'm telling you that it's not. You are wrong. If you're thinking those thoughts, I'm telling you right now that you're wrong. It's not the end of the world. Whatever bad situation you're in, there is a way out, okay? And strength training is a legitimate way to sort of claw your way out of, having depression. So, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Also, like I said, in 16 of these studies, they showed a significant impact with anxiety too, all right? And typically the two are tied together. You don't typically have depression without anxiety. You don't really have anxiety without depression. You pretty much have both of them at the same time. You're depressed, therefore you're anxious, right? You're anxious, therefore you're depressed. They kind of synergy off of each other. But these studies show that resistance training and specifically strength training, so in other words, progressing on a regular basis with your lifts, has been shown to nullify depression, nullify anxiety, and rebuild your hippocampus, right? So really cool stuff here. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the live stream today. Just kind of wanted to put out some good vibes. There will be another live stream probably tomorrow. I'm thinking tomorrow. I might do, well, it's definitely tomorrow. If you look on DLive, I have my schedule up on DLive. And every Saturday and Sunday, I'm streaming at 1 p.m. So if you would like to join me tomorrow, hang out in the gym, I'll catch you tomorrow at 1 p.m. I might do a sort of improvised live stream later today. Probably not, but you can definitely catch me tomorrow at 1. So thank you, Sun Bear, as always. Appreciate the support. Thanks to everyone who donated on DLive. Thanks to everybody on YouTube who follows me, who subscribes, who keeps up with me. You guys have made my life that I'm living right now possible. And, I just want to give back any way that I can. So if any of you guys have any questions or you're probably stronger. Stronger than what? Than Sun Bear? Yeah, that's good. That's good, Butter Candy. If you're stronger than me or Sun Bear, that's good. Okay, all right. So thanks for tuning in, YouTube. I'm shutting off the YouTube stream now. D Live, we're gonna keep talking for a little bit. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, YouTube. Like I said, you can catch me tomorrow at 1 p.m. on D Live if you want to catch me live. And I will see you in the next live stream or video. Peace out. Peace out.